Good evening, live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman Television. Here we present to you tonight's news bulletin. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issues a royal decree. The Board of Directors of Special Economic Zones and Free Zones decides to conduct studies on upgrading the fishing port to include foodstuff processing facilities. And the United Nations Secretary General urges Iran to address concerns raised on its nuclear and ballistic missiles programs and return to full implementation of its 2015 nuclear deal with major powers. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issued a royal decree. Royal Decree number 131/2020 regarding water and wastewater sector. Article 1, Ministry of Agricultural Wealth, Fisheries and Water Resources shall suggest policies, strategies and plans regarding water and wastewater sector and shall submit them to the Council of Ministers for approval. Article 2. The Authority for Public Services shall exercise their prerogatives with regards to organizing activities of water and wastewater. Article 3. Oman Wastewater Services Companies, AO or SAOC, shall carry out activities of water and wastewater in all governorates of the Sultanate except the Governorate of the Far and the Far Power Company, SAOC, shall carry out the activities of water and wastewater in the Governorate of the Far. Article 4. All assets, records, rights and liabilities of the Public Authority for Water shall be transferred to Oman Wastewater Services Company, SAOC. The assets, records, rights and liabilities of the Directorate General of Water at the Office of the Minister of State and Governor of the Far shall be transferred to the Far Power Company, SAOC. Also, all assets, records, rights and liabilities related to water and wastewater sector of other units of the administrative apparatus related to water and wastewater sector shall be transferred to Oman Wastewater Services Company, SAOC, and the Far Power Company, SAOC, as per their prerogatives according to the first and second paragraphs of this article. This transfer shall not affect the legally made transactions and contracts prior to the enforcement of this decree, which their consideration are subject to any rights and liabilities mentioned in the previous paragraphs with respect to taxes and fees. Article 5. The employees of the Public Authority for Water shall be transferred to the Oman Wastewater Services Company, SAOC, and the employees of the Directorate General of Water at the Office of the Minister of State and Governor of the Far shall be transferred to the Far Power Company, as per the provisions of the privatization law. The employees of Salala Sanitary Drainage Services Company, SAOC, shall be transferred to the Far Power Company, SAOC, as per the approach of the transfer stipulated in Article 6 of this decree, without prejudice to the benefits that may be stipulated in other decree. Article 6. The Ministry of Finance, in coordination with Oman Investment Authority, shall prepare and implement the transfer approach during a period of time not exceed 6 months since the start of enforcement of this decree. Article 7. Oman Investment Authority shall undertake necessary procedures to implement the provisions of this decree as per the provisions of Commercial Companies Law. Article 8. The laws, royal decrees, regulations and decisions regarding the water and wastewater sector effective at the date of issue of this decree shall be applied till the issuance of the law that organizes the water and wastewater sector. Article 9. The Public Authority for Water shall be cancelled starting from the date of completing the implementation of the transfer approach stipulated in Article 6 of this decree. All that contravenes with this decree or contradicts with its provisions shall be cancelled. Article 10. The decree shall be published in the Official Gazette and come into force from the date of its issue. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq received a cabal of thanks from His Highness Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, Emir of the State of Kuwait, in reply to His Majesty's condolences cable on the death of Sheikh Khalifa Sabah Saud Al Sabah. Assigned by His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, His Highness Sayyid Taimur bin Asad Al Said, Chairman of the Board of Governors of the Central Bank of Oman, will inaugurate next Monday the ceremony of announcing the results of His Majesty's Cup for Youth 2019 and awarding the prizes for the winners of the Youth Excellence Award for the year 2020, with the attendance of His Highness Sayyid Yazan bin Haytham Al Said, Minister of Culture, Sport and Youth. The Board of Directors of Special Economic Zones and Free Zones decided to conduct studies on upgrading the fishing harbour to include foodstuff processing facilities. The board adopted in its first meeting this year the negotiation mechanisms to attract projects for clean energy production for local use and green hydrogen to be exported from Duqm Special Economic Zone and Suhar Free Zone. The board also adopted the Duqm Special Zone size to 150 kilometers. The board discussed the International Marine Product Company projects for fishing, packaging and processing fish products. The project is expected to start in the second half of the next year. The meeting was headed by His Excellency Dr. Ali bin Masood Al-Sinaidi, Chairman of Public Authority for Special Economic Zones and Free Zones. Governorate of Al-Bahraini hosted a meeting to discuss economic, commercial and agricultural challenges facing the governorate. The meeting was attended by entrepreneurs, dignitaries and high government officials. The meeting highlighted relevant issues on developing agricultural sectors' capabilities and establishing industries with high revenues. An exhibition on local Omani products and crafts was held on the sidelines of the meeting. The winning projects for the incentives of the program of converting graduation projects in the fields of the fourth industrial revolution into startups for the year 2020 went to the project of tracking endangered animals in nature using a drone, the smart device projects to control water losses, and the Navigation Eye project.
3 technology projects win incentives for the program of converting graduation projects in the techniques of the fourth industrial revolution to startup companies for the year 2020. The incentives went to the project to track animal threatened with extinction in nature using drone technology, the smart device project to control water losses, and the project Navigation E. This project aims to build the capabilities of the Omani youth and encourage them to enter the labour market and entrepreneurship. The program also seeks to benefit from graduation projects and research presented by students of specializations related to information and communication technology to find innovative solutions to the challenges and problems we face in our daily life and transform them into innovative projects by providing the winning projects with the necessary funding, mentoring and other enabling tools. 570 graduation projects were submitted to the program to convert graduation projects into startups from 19 local educational institutions that included 194 students, in addition to 1 educational institution from outside the Sultanate. It is worth noting that the number of projects in the information and communication technology sector reaches about 1,500 projects annually.
Oman celebrates the International Anti-Corruption Day and joins the international community in its struggle against corruption and renews its commitment to its international obligations under the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Oman, through its supervisory and legal authorities that include Public Prosecution and State Audit Institute, continue to monitor government institutions and public companies and take action against corruption, embezzlement, abuse of power, forgery and conflict of interest. In partnership with public and private sector, the 2-day Genome Business Forum 2020, organized by the Oman Animal and Plant Genetic Resources Center in the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, commenced today. More details coming up in this report. The Geno Business Forum 2020, organized by the Oman Animal and Plant Genetic Resources Center and the Minister of Higher Education, Research and Innovation in partnership with the public and private sector. The two-day forum that commenced today will showcase business ideas of manfa teams and other entrepreneurs with original genetic resources-related ideas, products and prototypes to potential investors. It will also raise awareness among Oman public sector, private sector and Oman growing entrepreneurial community on the importance of the Sultanate's diversified genetic resources. The forum will discuss four main themes that are getting quality food from Oman's genetic resources: food and nutritional security, innovation, Oman's genetic resources, role of the fourth industrial revolution, deep-rooted value, Oman genetic resources for natural products, and finally genetic resources for sustainable economy. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, 75% of the world's food is now generated from only 12 plants and 5 animal species. Worldwide, it's estimated that more than 10,000 plant species are used for medicinal purposes, mainly as traditional medicines. The World Health Organization suggests that 80% of the people in developing countries rely on traditional medicines. His Excellency Dr. Saif Al-Haddabi said Geno Business 2020 is therefore proud to give young talented Omanis a platform from which to showcase their ideas for using genetic wealth to build responsible diversity. Delivering the forum's keynote address titled Towards Sustainable Commercialization of Oman Natural Resources, Dr. Amal Al-Abrawi, Chief Executive Officer of Al-Falha Investment, discussed the implications of the sustainable movement towards the commercialization of natural resources. The second keynote address was presented by Dr. Richard Splivalo, Chief Executive Officer of Nectaries, SAR, who discussed the transitional from academia into the business world, how the food flavor startup Nectaries was born. It's worth mentioning that Oman Geno Business Forum and Plant Genetic Resources Center aims to promote the recognition, sustainable exploitation and valuation of the genetic diversity inherent in Oman's animals, plants and microorganisms as a natural heritage resources. Now joining us online is Dr. Nadia Assadi from the Oman Animal and Plant Genetic Resources Center, the Minister of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, who will tell us more on this forum. Dr. Nadia, good evening and thank you for joining us.
Good evening and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, I believe the forum has been held virtually. Can you tell us what are the potential commercial opportunities in genetic resources and how could future entrepreneurs capitalize on these opportunities?
Yeah, sure. Yes, the forum is a two-day online forum, and the main idea behind the forum is to give to let people know about the opportunities of this treasure trove of genetic resources we have in Oman, be it plants, animals, marine or microbial species. I mean, if we look around us, we'll see that these resources touch us in every possible way, be it food security, be it medicines, antibiotics, food, our clothes, our furniture, and so on. So they have a huge potential. But I'm just going to touch on the themes that you so well mentioned that are discussed in the Geno Business Forum 2020. So looking at food security, United Nations predicts that the population is going to increase to about over 9 billion in 2050. So there's going to be a lot of demand for food. Okay, the agricultural practices are improving with technologies. We are advancing a lot, but we have native species that we really have not explored to its maximum. So we hope by giving people an opportunity to hear more about these breeds that we have, or these varieties that we have, or the marine species that are available in Oman, people will be encouraged to go into business in the food industry. So food flavors, if you're looking at all different kinds of things, meats, mushrooms are coming up, and they are a good source of protein that could be used. So the idea is that in the Geno Business Forum, we've showcased some successful companies who have actually made businesses successful using these resources. And we hope that now people can learn from them and use the native species. And why we say the native species, because they have survived under the conditions of Oman. So they are tolerant to heat, drought, and so with climate change, definitely they'll be of value. So if people can invest in that sector and try to use the Omani resources, we're actually indirectly conserving this. We are creating an opportunity to conserve these resources. It's a wealth that we have.
Wonderful.
The other areas that we can talk about, I know the younger generations are into technology, data, and the fourth industrial revolution. So innovating in genetic resources is an opportunity there. And the forum, also in the exhibition that we have, the Genome Fair, we have examples of companies that are using drones. We have remote sensing, and so you're pollinating plants using drones. Before it used to be a manual labor, now it's more technology. There's opportunity to create apps which will allow farmers to be more efficient in their work. So sitting in his office, he's able to detect the plants and whether they need watering sensors. So again, the technology part is there to support the genetic resources market. So there's a lot of opportunity for commercializing on genetic resources, be it's the resource itself or a service that supports the resource. And so I think I can go on and on.
I know.
I'll just stop here and continue.
Sure. And let's hope that people learn and use native species. And of course, the technology is there actually to help us in increase the production at the same time. But now, can you tell us about the Geno Business and Forum 2020, which consists of two parts, the Geno Talks and Geno Fair. And what is the role of the Geno Fair then in this case?
Yeah, sure. The Geno Business Forum, actually, idea came in 2018 when we started Geno Business, was mainly to showcase opportunities in genetic resources. So we brought international experts in different areas. Then we have another program called Manasa, which is actually an ideathon, 48 hours. The young talents go in for 48 hours and come up with ideas of using genetic resources. From those teams, we selected 4 winning teams, and those were incubated in Sultan Qaboos University Innovation Center and the Oman Academy for SME as an accelerator. Now they've reached a point where they have their prototypes, and we thought, okay, this is a good platform to provide them to be able to showcase their ideas. So we came up with the Geno Business Forum 2020, divided into 2 parts. One is the Geno Talks, which we're looking at distinguished speakers talking about the areas that are opportunities in genetic resources, and also some success stories. People are Geno heroes, people who are successful in using genetic resources in different ways, in novel ways sometimes. And then we have the Geno Fair, which is the second part. It's like an exhibition. Unfortunately, we were not able to have a physical exhibition, so we went virtual, and it's almost like the exhibition where you go into a hall and you can select the theme that you want to go into. When you select the theme, in the theme you'll see that one successful company that's already in Oman and 3 up-and-coming student companies that actually have come up with ideas, and some of them also have prototypes and some even products that are ready for being commercialized or going into the market.
We hope we'll be able to have more of these successful companies. Due to the time, we need actually to speed up. So if we can just highlight on the remaining questions that we have. One of the themes of the forum is innovative Oman genetic resources. What does the 4th Industrial Revolution play in that, if you can mention?
Okay. Sure. So the 4th Industrial Revolution actually is mainly going to help in producing efficiency and precision in agriculture and fisheries. But in biotechnology, for example, where we are taking biology and the marriage between technology and digital world is really providing us with speed. It's providing us with efficiency. It's making us global in terms of research. So I can be doing something here and discussing with somebody in America, and we come up with a solution together. So that's the speed, the value of the fourth industrial revolution. So we need to really capitalize on that.
Excellent. I know we can go on and on talk about this particular area, and it looks that you are very much into it. Finally, can you tell us, according to the report, 75% of the world food is now generated from only 12 plants and 5 animals. Could you highlight the kind of plants here in the Sultanate of Oman and also the type of animals that we have?
Yeah, definitely. That's very scary that we are relying on a few species only for our food basket. But fortunately, in Oman, we have over 1,400 species of plants and over 1,000 species, marine species, and more than 10 types of animals. So we have a diversity, a huge diversity of species. So, but
in other way, we are rich with this kind of species. Then, yeah.
Yeah,
wonderful.
But unfortunately, some of them are underutilized, and we need to explore those as well.
Then this kind of forum is actually to discover those areas that needs to be really worked on it. And I hope that you will be able to come up with ideas on how to push on and be able to benefit from this kind of species and plants that we have. Of course, we know that there are a lot of things, even plants which are used for medicine, but due to time, we cannot actually discuss those kind of things. Yes, Oman Animal and Plant Genetic Resources Center at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation is working towards promoting the recognition, sustainable exploitation and evaluation of the genetic diversity inherent in Oman's animal plants and microorganisms as a natural heritage resources is one of the greatest mission. We wish you all the best on this important venture. Dr. Nadia, it was very nice having you here. Great having you shedding light on this forum. Once again, thank you for joining Oman Television.
Thank you very much, and I really wanted to thank our sponsor, Suhara Aluminium, and all our strategic partners and speakers. They did an excellent job. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. That, of course, was Dr. Nadia Assadi from the Oman Animal and Plant Genetic Resources Center at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation. The Minister of Culture, Sports and Youth signed a memorandum of understanding with Oman National Transport Company Muwasalat to enhance and develop media and marketing cooperation between the two sides. The memorandum seeks to create an attractive artistic environment for road users and finding an interesting market method by providing the opportunity for fine artists to paint on Muwasalat e-buses.
Of course, this MOU will help both the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth to deliver their strategic direction to promote the youth arts on different means. And this is exactly outside the box, where we, for the first time, their job will be on the bus. And as you know, now the bus has become a unique icon in Muscat. And therefore, this will help them to give more in their activities.
You're watching the Sultanate of Oman Television, and now for the international news. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres is urging Iran to address concerns raised about its nuclear and ballistic missiles programs and return to full implementation of its 2015 nuclear deal with major powers. The United Nations chief expressed regret in a report to the Security Council that the Trump administration withdrew from the agreement in 2018 and reimposed sanctions against Iran and at Iran's 2019 decision to violate limits in the deal, including on centrifuges and enriching uranium. Guterres said in the report on implementation of a Council resolution endorsing the 2015 nuclear agreement that for the last 5 years, the nuclear deal has been largely viewed by the international community as a testament to the efficacy of multilateralism, diplomacy and dialogue, and a success in nuclear non-proliferation. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issues a royal decree. The Board of Directors of Special Economic Zones and Free Zones decides to conduct studies on upgrading the fishing port to include foodstuff processing facilities. And the United Nations Secretary General urges Iran to address concerns raised on its nuclear and ballistic missiles programs and return to full implementation of its 2015 nuclear deal with major powers. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin, brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman Television, directed by Mohammed Al-Mahrouqi, and from me, Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai, and the entire news team. We thank you for joining us, wish you a pleasant evening, and good night. And of course, do not forget to use your masks, keep following the health precautionaries in order to stay away from coronavirus. Good night.